guys, Melissa from Melissa's Creations here for our second session of Stamping Saturday. So I am just a minute or two early. I figured I would give some people a chance to log in, find the video, all that jazz. This morning was awesome. Thank you so much for those that participated. We made two really great cards. The first one we did, let me just grab this real quick. The first one we did was a little thanks featuring Swirly Bird, and the second we did also featuring Swirly Bird was this thanks kindly using the sailboat. Those were super fun. If you haven't had a chance to check out that video yet, you can still do so. I will also upload a YouTube file of that so that you can view it in one place easily, as well as see all of my other videos and tutorials I do have on my YouTube channel. So be sure to check those out if you get a chance, and hit that like and subscribe button. Today, this afternoon session, we're going to do a couple of cards featuring the Thoughtful Branches stamp set, which is an August exclusive. We are going to use the Thoughtful Branches as well as the Beautiful Branches Coordinating Thinlets dies. We're going to do a little bit of big shot work. We're also using the Woodland embossing, Textured Impressions embossing folder, TIEF. It's a mouthful. We're also going to use these Layering Ovals Framelits, so that's going to be great. And one of the cards we're doing does feature another thank you sentiment from Big Meaning, Big Meaning, which we used earlier today. The first card we are going to do for the 3 p.m. session is this awesome, lovely as a tree. No, not lovely as a tree. I'm getting my words mixed up. It's late in the afternoon, can you tell? Oh, I hope I do okay. Thoughtful Branches. This is the Thoughtful Branches, one of the Thinlets dies cut out here, and the coordinating leaves in that set. We are also using the Woodland Textured Impressions embossing folder on the back there. And it just has a plain vanilla, very vanilla piece inside to write your sentiment. So let's get started on that card. Set that over here for reference. And the pieces, we have a regular card base. This is just a piece that was 8.5 by 11, cut in half. Hi Mom, thanks for joining. Glad you could make it this session. Regular 8.5 by 11 sheet, cut in half at 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. That is our card base. I have a large scrap of Very Vanilla. We're going to cut our tree out with this. You would also be cutting your leaves out, as well as the oval sentiment for the front of the card. Just for kicks and giggles, we've got a 5.5 by 4.5, so a really good size scrap for that. I've already pre-cut, stamped and cut the 3 leaves that I'll be using today, and the colors I used on that was Pear Pizzazz, Wild Wasabi, and Old Olive. And just a heads up for all you guys, I will have coordinating PDF files with all of the materials and measurements for all of these items up on my blog, melissascreations.com. After I do this last video, either today or early tomorrow, I'll have a link posted for those. I have a scrap of Pear Pizzazz paper here for my scalloped oval. I have a piece of Early Espresso cardstock, and this measures 5 1/4 by 4. We're going to run this through the Big Shot with the Woodland embossing folder, and that's going to layer onto our card base. Hi Dan, thanks for joining. And then I have 2 pieces. Oh, actually, I only need 1. I knew I had it right the first time, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I need 2. So this is a piece of Very Vanilla that is going to go inside our card, and this measures 5 1/4 by 4. So let's get started by bringing in the Big Shot. Actually, we're going to backtrack just a second. We're going to stamp our sentiment first. So I am bringing in the Thoughtful Branches. No, it's not Thoughtful. My goodness, you guys, my brain is like mush. What is going on? It must be the heat. That's what I'm going to blame it on. I'm bringing in One Big Meaning. This is the thank you. This one right here. So pretty. I love that one so much. And I'm going to grab my D-size block. I'm going to bring in some Pear Pizzazz ink. We'll ink that up. And we are going to stamp this out in an oval. So I want to make sure I have plenty of room around it to cut out that oval shape. Now, if I hadn't have already cut out my leaves then you would stamp those at this point as well. So just stamp them there. Give yourself enough room to cut out around. And then we're going to cut the tree shape out of this side of the paper. So let me get everything situated, and I will bring in my Big Shot. I just kind of wanted to show you guys the wondrous world of the Big Shot. So here we go. And I'm going to lay this down. I am also going to bring in, again, if you don't have the precision base plate and the die brush, which are highly recommended for these intricate dies, I'm just using a gently used dryer sheet so that I can get a really nice cut. I'm going to grab the tree from the Beautiful Branches Thinlets dies that coordinate with the Thoughtful Branches set. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to cut it out this way since I have to do the oval too. Okay, now I'm going to grab one of my ovals, and I want it big enough for my sentiment, and I think it was this one here. So I have them separated out, but it's the third smallest size. So I'm just going to line that up like so, and I'm going to run that through. And again, if you were doing your leaves at this point, you would want to put that framelit die on there also. Okay, here we go. Here's our sentiment. Uh-oh, I didn't run it all the way through. Shame on me. I'll trim it with some snips. Wow, this afternoon is not my afternoon. This is crazy. What's going on? So I'm going to peel that off, and it looks like I only have a few little guys that got stuck in there. So I will take a paper piercer and pierce those out later. But if you had the die brush, you would just be able to wipe those right off the slate. So now I'm going to get my tree out. Like so, and you can see all those little pieces just stuck to the dryer sheet, and we have a beautiful tree. So I'm going to set that aside so I can get my oval, my scalloped oval, out of that piece of pear pizzazz. And to get the right size scallop, all I'm going to do is kind of situate this on top, my cutout on top, so I can see which one I want, and I want this one. I'm not sure exactly what size it is, but it's that one. That's all I do to measure it. Since they don't have specific measurements and I haven't numbered them, I just kind of lay it inside so I can see what the scallop will look like around it. So I'm going to grab that one, and we'll set that on here, do another cut. And make sure it runs all the way through this time. And boom, it just comes out beautifully. Beautiful scallop. Okay, let me set these things off to the side so that we can get the Big Shot out of the way. Oh, nope, one more thing. We have to do our Textured Impressions embossing folder. So I'm going to grab that piece of early espresso cardstock, and I'm going to dig around to find my embossing folder. Here we go. My desk is an absolute mess right now. So I'm going to stick that into my folder. Now for our sandwich on this, I'm going to remove the thin die adapter and just use the Big Shot platform with one cutting plate. I have my sandwich here with my impressions folder, and I like to line mine up so that it is lined up with the side and it's lined up at the bottom. I'm not shoving it all the way in because I want just the base of those trees, and I want just the side of this one here to show. So I'm going to set that in like so, put the other cutting plate on top to make your sandwich, and run that puppy through. Boom. And when you take it out, gorgeous. Now, there's two different sides. There's a side where the trees are more inset, and there's a side where the trees are more pronounced, and we're going to use the more pronounced side. Okay, now I think I can put this away for now. I will grab it back out for our next card in just a moment. Okay. Actually, I don't want to trip on that, so I'm going to move it a little further. All right. Bring back in this sheet here for us. And again, that hostess code is right here. It's also all over my blog and my Facebook page. Our card sample. We are just going to put this straight in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that now. And I am just going to come in with some snail for that. And I'm going to put that right down on the inside. We have a lovely border around there. Beautiful. Okay. So to get the white background on those trees, I'm going to bring in my craft Stampin' pad in Whisper White. Now I do recommend getting the refill for this because I love using this, and you're going to want to make sure it's nice and juicy when you go to drag it on your cardstock. We're going direct to paper right now. So there's a side to the Stampin' Up! Classic stamp pads that is curved, and that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to lightly drag that directly over those trees. And it gets mostly just the raised part. If you're careful, you can get just the raised part and not really the background. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going to flip it around here so I can get these two on the side. And I just love the effect that gives. I think it's kind of like a birch tree. I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that looks like a birch tree to me. So because this ink is super pigmented, it will be kind of tacky and wet. So you want to kind of, you know, give it a chance to kind of hang out and mellow out and dry. So while that is getting happy over on the side here, I'm going to bring in my sentiment. Now, as I said before, I didn't quite run this oval through the Big Shot all the way. So I'm just going to take some snips. I'm just going to clean up that edge just a little bit. There. No one will ever know. It's our secret. Okay, I am going to adhere that to my scalloped oval just with snail. We're going to pop this whole section, this whole piece up as soon as we get it onto our card base. So just go ahead and layer that down, get it where you want it, and then boom. I am going to bring in some of the pearls. I love these pearls. They're so pretty. I put my scissors away without really thinking about it. So I'm going to do one teeny tiny, and I'm going to put this over here. I like to work in a triangle pattern when I'm doing embellishments like this, a few of them at a time. I'm going to put this one way out here to the side. I'm going to get one more of the medium, and I'm going to put that one over here. So we kind of have that triangle effect going on. Okay, so I'll set those over here for now. So what I'm going to do first is build everything up, and then I'm going to put it onto my card base. So I'm going to start with my tree, and I do need to grab a dauber, and I'm using the Early Espresso ink. So grab that classic stamp pad. This is the old style. It's still the felt top. And I'm just going to pick up some of that ink, and I just want a little dimension on that tree. So I'm just going to take my dauber and just kind of sponge a little. I don't want it too dark. I just want a hint of a shadow on it. So let me bring you guys in a little so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully the lighting is okay. It's getting a little dark back here. The way that my window faces the sun, or the sun faces my window, however it works. It's getting a little bit darker than it was this morning. Okay, so there's just a hint of some Early Espresso to kind of liven up that tree. I'm going to take my multi-purpose liquid glue, bring you guys back out a touch here, and I'm going to adhere that tree down to my big card, my embossed card. And this glue dries clear. It's one of the great things about it, so I'm not being super careful. And I'm just kind of getting a little in and out of the branches a little bit at the top, just enough so that it sticks down. So I'm going to put that up and kind of in the middle section, like so. Okay, and then just give that a press just for a moment. Boy, you guys are awful quiet. I know sometimes I have a delay in my comments, but come on, guys. Where are you? Give me a shout out. I need dimensionals, and my dimensionals are here. Okay, I'm going to bring those leaves in. I just cut those out. I stamped and cut them out previously just to save a little bit of time for us. And put a dimensional on the back of each one. I'm actually going to put my sentiment down first. So grab some dimensionals for that sucker. I like 3, and I kind of, again, I kind of put them in a triangle, kind of off-centered somewhat. So we'll do this first. Mom says, just watching. Tammy says, what's the difference between using this glue and the one you were using this morning? Okay, good question. So the multi-purpose liquid glue, number 1, it dries clear, so you cannot see it after it dries. It is super forgiving. You can reposition it easily. This application actually has a thick end as well, so you could do a larger surface area with that as opposed to a fine tip on this side. I really like this glue when I'm doing boxes or 3D projects. It's super, super strong. It's almost like the Elmer's glue you get in the store, but better. And the fine tip glue pen is the one I was using earlier. I don't know how strong it is. I haven't used it on a box. I haven't tested that out. However, I do think that they made this to kind of replace the crystal effects. You saw on the card that we did with the waves, I used it to give texture to the waves down here. When you put it on, it's clear, but it's not, it doesn't really disappear. You can still see the shimmery shininess of the glue in here. So it kind of has it dries like a crystal blanket, if you will. So I hope that explained well enough the difference between those two glues. I would not use the fine tip glue pen for boxes, as I said before. However, I would use it for super, super intricate dies. So not necessarily this tree, because I was able to put the liquid glue on that, but if you had a more intricate die that you wanted to glue down, let me see if I can find an example real quick. These here, these are the Flourish Thinlets dies. So you can see how thin these guys are. There is not a lot of room on these to put some thicker glue, so I would definitely use the fine tip glue pen to glue those down to something. Okay, so I went ahead and put one leaf on. Let's get our other two going. And I'm going to put this one down here, and I'm just kind of angling them kind of in different directions. And of course, no leaf would be complete without Wink of Stella. So I think I use Wink of Stella on every single card that I'm doing today, because it's gorgeous and I love it. Look at how beautifully that just sparkles it up. Can you see that? Yay. Okay, so we have a sad leaf. Okay, now watch. Putting on the clear Wink of Stella glitter brush. And look at how happy it is now. Super happy and shiny. Okay, and we've got one left down here to give some love to. You can see I am totally not being careful. And you don't really have to be careful on this at all. Okay. Oh my gosh, you guys, I think we're ready to adhere it to our base. That was stinking fast. That took, what? How long has it been? 5 minutes, maybe? So let's see, we'll grab 5 to start. These are super sticky. So they are going every which way on me. Put them in the corners, and I am going to put 2 in the middle, and I'm going to kind of offset those because of that texture back here, I want to make sure it really sticks well. I'm going to zoom you back out. There we go. Grab those backings off. Now, don't let me forget to do the game after this card so we have a little bit more love in the middle. Last time I forgot and we did both games at the end, which turned out okay. It was totally fine, but I do want to do it separated today. So I am just going to layer that right onto my base like so, and boom. Shakalaka, we are done with our card. Super fast, gorgeous, simple, and you know, that craft ink with the Woodland embossing folder, I just love it. It would make such a great card for a holiday or for the winter and fall season. You could change these leaves up and make them red and orange. Oh, maybe I'm going to have to do that now because that sounds delicious. Next pieces. This is, oh, I have a stray pearl. I'll just let him hang out. This is the next card we're going to do. It's a shaker card. Oh, I love, 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 love it. Look at me. Oh, it just gives me so much joy. Now, I just noticed that I forgot to cut a piece of the window sheet. So let me grab some window sheet so I can cut that out for you really quickly. Window sheets are great. These are so much fun. I do have a little scrap in here, which is large enough. Okay. So bring in my Stampin' trimmer. Set these guys aside for a moment. Now, I need a piece that measures, this is 2.5 inches wide, and I want a piece that's 3.5 long. So I'm going to bring this in and trim that down. And you can cut it right on your trimmer. It just glides nicely over that. It is slippery though, so make sure you hold down that track when you are cutting it so that you don't get astray. Okay. Bring our pieces back in. You love this card, Mom, the shaker? Isn't that fun? I love it so much. It's so fun. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my tree. Let me tell you what I've got here. Okay, so I took a sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock. I chopped it in half at the 5.5 inch mark, and I scored it at 4.25. That is my card base. The other half I am going to use to cut out the leaves on our tree, as well as these little extra bits in here that make up our leaves. It would be cute in multi-fall colors too. Yes, it would. Wouldn't that be adorable to put red, orange, and yellow in there and do maybe a whisper white with sponging of those colors with the stamp? Oh, so cute. So cute. Okay. So again, I'm going to use the Beautiful Branches Coordinating Thinlets dies, and I'm using this guy right here. And I'm just going to cut one out of this. I may end up cutting two, haven't quite decided yet, just depends on how much extra leafy bits that we get when we do one. So I'm going to set this aside for a second because we do have some more cutting to do. So I have a piece of basic black cardstock here. I am going to take my Whisper White craft ink again, and I am also using the Duet Banner Punch to punch out the sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and get that going now because, as I said before, it is a pigment ink and it does take a little bit to dry. I'm using the thank you that's already in the Thoughtful Branches stamp set, which is right here. And putting that onto my, I believe this is a C. Yes, my C block. Taking the Whisper White. Get that nice and juicy. I don't know if you can hear it. I just love the sound that makes. That's how I know it is super juicy and ready to go. Okay, I'm going to stamp this. I'm using the top one here. And so when I stick my cardstock into punch, it's going to be closest to the bottom. So that's where I'm going to stamp. And actually, I think I needed to curve this a little bit. Let's see. Let's see if I need to restamp and curve. it'll work, but because it's photopolymer, you can definitely curve this stamp. Just bring it up and just give it a little bit of a curve, and it will fit super well into your punch. So I'm just going to get the extra ink off by tapping it on some scrap paper, and I need to re-moisten my Stampin' scrub so I can clean this off. I don't want that crafting to sit on my stamp. I don't think it would hurt it, but I just want to make sure it's nice and clean for the next time I go to use it. Okay, so we're done with the thank you sentiment. I'm going to put my ink away. I'm going to punch this out in a minute. I am, like I said, going to let that dry for a second. I'm going to set this aside also. Hopefully I'll be able to find it when I need it again. Okay, so I have a piece of basic black, which is the matte on top of our card here. This piece measures 5 by 3 3/4. We will be cutting our oval out of the center to create the window for our shaker. And I have 2 pieces of Whisper White that measure the same size, and that is 5 1/4 by 4. One of them is going to go underneath the black mat on the front, and the other is going to go inside. Now, I did stamp this tree, and I stamped it in the same ink I'm going to use in a moment, but I did do it lighter. If I had it to do over again, I'd probably do a 3rd impression. So you know the stamp off technique, you stamp off once and then stamp. Well, I'd do it twice, stamping off twice, and then stamp to give it really, really light. Or you could just leave it plain. But I kind of like how it mimicked the front. So I have my tree here, and when you open it, you see the tree on the inside. I kind of thought that that was kind of neat. So I'm going to stamp my tree on one of those pieces real quick. I'm bringing in Soft Suede, which is the trunk color. So here is this. Okay. And again, this is an old style stamp pad, so that's why I am mushing it. It's the felt top. Working on getting new ones. Okay, now if you see this here and we set this next to the sample, it kind of gives you an idea of placement. So it's about right here. So the trunk is almost right in the middle because I want a little bit of trunk and a little bit of tree. So you know what, let's stamp the inside too. Let's try the 3rd generation. So I inked it up, I stamped once, that's one time. I'm going to stamp it off a 2nd time, and then I'm going to stamp it a 3rd time to get, ooh, super light. So you can really see the difference in those 2 tree trunks. This is 1st generation and 3rd generation stamp. Okay, stamp and scrub my trunk. I can put that back, and now I am going in for the leaves. And I'm bringing in the mama block. This is the E. And it's just the mama. It's not the papa because the papa is huge. It's in my block caddy at the moment. Okay, so for the leaves, I am going to use, that's one thing I forgot to do is put my inks away. I almost grabbed the wrong ink, but we are featuring Emerald Envy on this card today. So I am going to pop that guy open. And because it's such a large stamp, I like to ink it up in my hand like this. And sometimes you can even bring this over, but either way. So I'm just making sure I get all those leaves. And I'm going to, now you can see that there's a notch at the top. That's the top. And these kind of are notched out so they will fit well on your tree trunk. So I'm just kind of lining it up. And I think I wasn't too careful on this, but just a note, try to leave at least 1/4 inch of your white paper up at the top after you stamp, because you don't really want to see that when you put your black mat down. So again, I wasn't super careful, but hopefully you will be when you do yours. So now I'm going to do the 3rd generation stamp with the green. I'm going to stamp off, and then I will stamp it again right over the top. Just like that. So pretty. And that is much lighter than the other one inside my original card. So you could totally write over that in black ink, and I don't think you would have a problem. Okay, so we have the front, we have the inside. I'm going to glue the inside down now just to get it out of the way. Bring in some Snail. Let's bring you guys back out a touch here. There we go. Okay. And we will just adhere that right to the inside. And again, we have a lovely border like so. Okay. Now, here is my white base. So what I want to do is I want to cut the oval out of my black piece, and I want to cut my leaves out of the Emerald Envy. So I'm going to set these aside really quick, making sure I have my black piece and my extra green piece, which is here. And I do want to grab, if I can find them, my ovals. And the oval size I'm using, I think it's this guy. Yes. So again, I'm not sure which number this is, but let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th smallest oval. So that is what I am using. Okay. So let me, again, set all of this to the side. I'll grab my 2 pieces I'm going to cut out. Bring the Big Shot back in for its 3rd debut of the day, 2nd of this video. Wait, did I use it yet? Yeah, I used it. I just used it on the last card. Okay, another gently used dryer sheet, since I do not have that precision base plate. Okay, and I'm actually going to stick this in pretty much all the way because I want to run my oval through at the same time. So I'm just going to stick my tree on there like this, put my black on the tail end. Now, you want to try and get your, I don't know how well you can see that. Let me try bringing you up a bit. You want to try and make sure you center that oval towards the top, not all the way, but not all the way centered, if that makes any sense. But you do want to try and get an even amount on both the left and right side. So gently place your top cutting pad down. Oh crap, do I have, yeah. Okay, I think we're good. Let's see. Yes, okay. I'm holding the plate down so that it doesn't move while I run it through. Okay, I heard the good crack. I'll run it through again for good measure. There we go. And there's our beautiful oval cut out. Okay, and you could also actually use this as your scrap piece to stamp and cut out that thank you. I believe that would be plenty of room. Since I already have that stamped, I'm just going to set that oval into my scrap pile. So with this, if you did use the die brush, just make sure you save all of your little pieces. So what I'm going to do is borrow my card base. I'm going to set that down so that I can poke out any of those little green leaves, because these little pieces that are cut out, that's what I'm going to use for my shaker. Okay, so what I'm going to do is very carefully lift this piece up and out. Let's see if we can get away with 1 instead of cutting out 2. Let's see how many leaves we can get. Okay, so just poke out any little pieces. There we go. Looks good. Okay. Set that aside, and I'm going to gently transfer these little extra bits to the inside of my card just so I have a transportation device. And I know I'm losing a few. That's okay. I am about to create more because we're going to cut our leaves apart that we just used. Okay. So setting that aside for a moment. Getting my area cleaned out, and I don't think we need to cut another one out. I think we'll have enough once we cut up our leaves. So I'm going to set that aside, get this out of the way so we can see again. Okay, bring this back in and bring these guys. And so I have my window sheet here. I know you can't really see it unless there's a glare on it. And then I have the piece that is going to be on the front of my card, okay? And I have my leaves as well as all of the little bits that go with the dryer sheet. My goodness. So just brush those away if you're not using a precision base plate. Okay, so now I'm just dumping those onto the front of my card, and I'm kind of grouping them in the middle. Okay, and what we're going to do now is take our snips, or paper snips, and you can see that on my sample, I have just a little bit of the outside. So I'm just going to pretty much do the same thing and just trim a few. I just kind of want the halo effect. So I'm going in and out, some of them big, some of them small. And I'm basically just cutting it away from itself like this. So just a couple more, just kind of in an arch shape. And there's no real rhyme or reason to where I'm cutting. You just want to kind of cut so that you can separate it from itself like this, okay? Because this is going to go right up on top of our oval, which is up here, so I don't lose it. Okay. Now the rest of these, I am just going to chop into little pieces and use for the inside of my shaker. And I apologize I didn't prep this because I kind of really did want you guys to see this step and how I got my leaves inside the shaker card. Sequins are also super cute to put in shakers. I don't know if we have any greens. Is somebody out there that knows if we have any greens? I'll have to check the catalog. I don't know if we have green sequins. I suppose you could use the silver and color them in with a green Sharpie. I don't know how well that would work. It's just a random thought. Okay, so for the sake of the video, I'm just going to cut a couple more, but depending on how full you like your shaker and how big you like your leaves, you can do less or more. So we'll just do one more here. Okay, so now I have some little bits and I have some big bits. Not too many, not too little. Few. Not too little. Where is Cindy? She needs to correct my grammar. Excuse me. Okay. So, now to assemble the shaker. I have my window sheet right here. And on the wrong side, there's really not a right or a wrong side. And it depends on your preference. I don't know how well you can see it on the black, but there is a little halo around where I cut that framelit. It doesn't bother me, but if it bothers you, and it didn't do it on that side because I turned it over. You could turn it over like this, and if you have a lot of cuts on your cutting plates, it may pick up some of that texture. It kind of almost embosses it. But you can see, maybe you can see, this side is a lot smoother than this side. We have a really harsh, sharp line here. So you can use either side, doesn't matter. I'm going to use the side with the halo because I kind of like that look. So make sure your window sheet will fit over the top. What we're going to do is just run a little bit of fast fuse on each of the corners and then on the sides here. Okay, so fast fuse. And this is a brand new one, so it glides like butter. Whee! Okay, and we'll do a little tiny bit at the top. I don't want too much because I don't want it to poke out from my window sheet because I am going to pop this up with dimensionals. I guess it would be okay. It's not a super big deal. Okay, so here's my window sheet right on top. Make sure you cover every little bit of that oval that you cut out. Okay, and just give it a flip over just to make sure you don't have any extra glue tucking out where you don't want it. I have a little bit there, but that's okay. It's not super noticeable. Okay, so on the wrong side, I'm going to bring in some of our foam adhesive strips. These make shaker cards so easy. I love these strips. I'm going to try and grab one out of here. They're just like dimensionals. They are a little thicker, and they just come in this long, lovely strip. Hi, Sim. Oh, I forgot to text you. I'm so sorry, but I'm glad you made it. This is the second card for the afternoon session. Now it doesn't matter where you start. So I'm just setting it down and bending it around that oval. Now I don't want it exactly on the line. And I don't know if you can see that, but there is black around the middle. I don't want it too close because then you will be able to see it. So I'm just going to curve around like so. And let's see how much am I going to make it? Oh, just perfect. Look at one strip perfectly goes around that oval. Lovely. Okay, now before I take this protective film off to reveal the sticky side, before I do that, I'm going to bring in my embossing buddy. And I'm just going to dab it in and kind of rub that along the edges to prevent or help prevent. It won't completely make your things not stick to the side, but it does help to get those little bits to slide nicely. And I do have a little bit of powder, so I'm just going to blow that off and kind of use my finger to shine it up. You could use the cloth that comes in your block caddy too, if you didn't want to use, because I think I did scratch it a little bit. So just be gentle with it. Be super gentle. Okay, so now I'm ready to, oh, actually, I do want to put some more dimensionals on here because I want the corners to pop up. I don't want them to sag. Now, as I said before, the dimensionals are not quite as thick. I don't know how well you can see the difference. Probably not at all. That's probably an awful example, but I'm going to double up my dimensionals on the corners. So stick one down, peel the film off, and get another one down. Okay, so I'm going to double those up on the corners. So bear with me for a moment. And you could also just use strips of the adhesive foam strips. I believe that's what I did before. Since it's the same height, you can just cut a little snippet off one of them. But let's give this a whirl and see how it goes. Okay, and one more. All right, get those out of the way. I don't want those pieces in my shaker card. Okay, so we have assembled the top portion of our shaker. I'm going to bring in that Whisper White piece with our leaves gently tucked in the middle to keep them away from the sides. And now we're just going to layer that. Hopefully, oh wait, I didn't take the, Make sure that when you do your shaker card, you peel off the protective covering from those adhesive strips. Okay. Now we're ready to layer down, and I'm trying very hard to get it in the right position before I commit. There we go. Just give it a light press so it seals and in those corners, and I got a little clump, so there we go. Yay! There's our shaker, guys. What do you think so far? Isn't that cute? Yay! I love using the little bits of those leaves from the cutout. I just think it's super cute. Okay, we're ready to adhere this to the top, but look, if it's just like this, depending on how you cut it, it's not going to frame very well. So what we're going to do is crumple it up. Get all of your anger and frustration out on that defenseless leaf. Okay, and then just kind of straighten it back up. And now it will be pliable, and we can put it right where we want it. So I am going to use the liquid glue for this because I want to make sure that it dries clear if I get it outside the lines. And I'm just going to go around on some of the larger spots and put some of that adhesive down. And because I did crumple it, I have plenty of wiggle room, and also this glue will give me wiggle room as well, because once you set it down, you don't have to commit right away. Okay, so just kind of frame it at the top, and you do want to hold it for a moment because it does have such a forgiving nature to the adhesion. I used that word before. I really like it. Adhesion. I'm pretty sure it's a real word too. But you want to make sure that you stick it down long enough so that it sets. Okay. So now that that is set in place, I'm going to bring back in my sentiment that I used the thank you from the Thoughtful Branches stamp set. I have my Duet Banner Punch. We'll slide this in, line it up, and as I said before, you could give it a little bit of a curve to fit in that punch a little better, but I think that's fine. It's a little large, but you know what? They still know what it says, and I'm cool with it. I'm down with that. So now I'm going to bring in, again, some Stampin' Dimensionals. Now on this, because it's going to go across the bottom here, I want to put them out on the farthest edge of the banner. So this little sticky outy guy over here. Okay, and peel those backings off. I'll get that stuck down. And let's see. How much, see, now the question becomes, how much leaf do we want to see underneath? This one just has a very slight sliver, but I think maybe we'll put it up here so we can see more of the leaves resting when somebody looks at the card straight on. Shake it, shake it, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty. Okay, enough singing. Back to the ribbon now. I have my ribbon snips here, and I'm just going to cut a good length of it off. This is approximately 10 inches. So you could go ahead and put it around both of the white and the black piece if you want. Oh, that's not going to be long enough. That's going to be a struggle. I'll use that on another project. So, retraction, cut off about 12 to 15 inches, or you could try tying it right on the spool. This is 13. We'll see if that works. So, because of where I placed my dimensionals in the middle here, I am going to thread it through so it's just tied around the black, but you could certainly tie it around both pieces, or you can tie it around the black before you actually stick it down. But this works just fine. I'm just going to snake that through to the other side. Hello from the other side. Okay, that's enough. All right. So I like my knots off-centered, so I'm going to do it over here. And I'm just giving that a nice little tug. I'm letting the ribbon do its own thing, let it go where it wants. I'm going to put my finger down. I'm going to bring this down. So I'm going to kind of curve that one over, bring this one down and through the side. And when I pull, I'm going to pull the right side to try and get a nice square knot. Not perfect, not as lovely as this knot. This knot is out of this world. This one's okay. It's not bad. I get it, not. Okay, so then you can just trim those off to whatever length you would like. And again, if you measure your ribbon just right, you won't have that little ribbon waste there. Sorry, ribbon, you were good to me. Okay, putting that back on there. Okay, we're ready to adhere this to the front of our card. Now, because this is a little bit heavier with everything, you're at Victoria's Secret watching my card. Ooh la la. Oh my gosh, you're funny, girl. I'm going to use my fast fuse because this does have a lot of layers. I want to make sure that it sticks well. You could also use the multi-purpose liquid glue. And what I do love about using the liquid glue on this, on all this background here, is you would have lots of wiggle room to move it around and reposition if you needed to. But I am going to take a chance and committing. There we go. It is down. Okay, now guess what time it is? Did you guess right? It's Wink of Stella time, of course. I haven't done a card today that does not use the clear Wink of Stella glitter brush. So I'm just going to brush up those leaves, give them a little bit of fun blingy bling. You could also probably, if you wanted to, put the Wink of Stella on the whole leaf before you cut it apart so that some of your leaves inside glitter. But I didn't, just because I wasn't sure if they might turn around on themselves, and I didn't want them to not be seen if they turned around for some reason when you shook it. So, and I am being a little bit more careful with this than I have been in the past with the other cards we did, because I don't really want it so much on the black. And you could definitely do this step before you glued it down, but you know me, I like to live dangerously. So there we go, a little bit of bling bling with our Wink of Stella, and this card is done. What do you think? Do you like it? Put it on the words. Okay, I can try that. Now, the words, they're still not quite dry, so I wouldn't recommend doing this, but I will do it just for you. And I am going to be kind of careful with this because since that ink isn't quite dry, I don't want to smear it. But that is gorgeous, isn't it? Good idea. So now you have to make your own and send me a photo. If you guys do Instagram or post stuff onto your own Facebook pages, use the hashtag Melissa's Creations, all one word, no apostrophe, so that I can see what you do with your cards if you don't want to send it to me in the mail. That does make a difference. I don't know if you can tell very well. Can you tell the difference in the two thank yous? This is matte, so this one doesn't have the glitter on it, and this one does. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but in person, it definitely makes it pop and blingy blingy. Love it. Good suggestion.